Okay, let's hear from Grace Michelle, our primary school learner, about COVID-19 having come our way, and now you are at home. What is the saddest part when you're at home? How was learning, or what was difficult to cope with at home?
Sometimes I would feel like I didn't want to revise, and I felt like, oh, tomorrow is going to be another day, and just going to revise like the way we used to. But it came sometime when I couldn't have any work, so I started doing my revision. And also I could not attend online classes because my parents couldn't afford that money.
Okay, let's hear from a high school student.
Okay, for me, what I can say, what was hard at that time, it was that when you want to read in online classes, you don't have that money to get bundles so that you can buy from your phone to get in online classes. And the other thing is like your parents can't afford that gadget to buy you a laptop or your telephone so that you can use it. And the other thing is that most of us students, when you get to the phone, it's not like actually take 100% reading. We always go to the YouTubes, check some things that will not help us in studies, that will spoil us, and I think that is our main disadvantage of that.
Okay, let's hear from our lovely parent here. Now the children were back home. What was the sad thing that you were really feeling? Oh no, maybe you are at work and all that, and your children at home.
Hiyo wakati ya COVID-19 ni wakati ngumu sana kwa mzazi, kwa sababu unaacha watoto wako, zamani walikuwa wanaenda shule, sasa wako kwa nyumba na hujui wanaweza enda wapi. So hii wakati ya COVID-19 ni wakati ngumu sana kwa mzazi.
Okay, let's also look at the other flip side of the story. What is this that is good? You're saying, it's good that COVID-19 came our way, and it puts on your heart some joy or light of joy. So let's hear from our student, high school student again.
Okay, what I was proud of is that I could interact with my family I will interact with them like 100% because tukienda shule tuko na new interaction, the full interaction. And the other thing that is that this COVID-19 made us to be more open-minded, like looking for jobs, looking for anything creative that you can do. But when you're in school, you're not like that. You're not that open-minded. But this COVID-19, I think, helped us.
Wow, that's great. Let's hear from Grace Michelle.
For me, it gave me that mind of I learned new things. I could be able to help my parents, and it created joy because I would spend a lot of time like watching and doing creativity. But the odd thing is, I would sleep at 11 p.m. at night and wake up at 11 a.m. in the morning.
Wow. Let's hear from Teacher Anthony.
Yeah.
Especially you being a government teacher, so just tell us.
Yeah, much as COVID-19 brought so many challenges, I want to say that it was actually an opportunity again for most of us to really think. Like now that we had our learners at home, what's the next? And I never knew personally that I would be that innovative until COVID-19 came. Initially, I never saw myself teaching using another platform apart from just studying before the classroom and using the chalk and just talking to the learners. But then we had to move with speed and adopt other platforms such as Zoom and Skype, among many other ways.
Wow, that's wonderful. Let's hear from Teacher Faith.
Also for me, just to back it up also, it also helped me because before I never knew that I could also use those online programs, could be part of those online programs. So it also helped me to be part and parcel of it. And also it helped me have other innovatives of which I discovered ahead that I had things that I could think of future by trying some businesses of which helped me for my upkeep. So it was also open-minded for me.
Okay, that's wonderful to hear from all of you about there is that good side of COVID and technology. Maybe the other concern is everyone is concerned about preventing, spread of COVID-19. So I want to hear from you whether schools are adhering to the protocols that have been developed by the ministry or by World Health Organization in terms of spacing, in terms of masks and all that. What would you say, Teacher Anthony?
Um, Thank you. I'm going to say that yes, schools are really trying to adhere. And here I'm using the word trying because it is actually not 100%. Now, for instance, myself here, being from a government school, I want to say yes, public government schools, since we resumed the learning in classes, most of us are really trying to follow the measures that have been laid down by the government. And I also believe the same is happening in the private schools. But then at the same time, let us also not forget the challenges that are there, that these are young learners, much as they're in high school. It's easy to contain them when they're in the class setting. Yes, you can arrange them a meter away from each other, but you realize that immediately they step out of the class, these learners, they go playing all the way in the field. It's hard for me as a teacher to go monitoring each and every one of them. At the same time, as they're going home in the evenings, we can't follow them past the gate. So I want to say we're trying, but again, at the same time, it's really, really challenging.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. And you've just mentioned about spacing. I know there's so many private schools that closed down, and it means actually these students who are to be incorporated in government schools or public schools. And I think directive from the ministry was that no one should be stopped from going to school. So were you able to build up new classrooms or, because I know it's really challenging, the infrastructure and all that. So do you really think that most of these schools are adhering to spacing?
Good question, Ken. But in this case, with the spacing that's required by the government, it's really, really, in some cases, especially within the towns, it's really, really not practical because you may find that at school we are limited in terms of this infrastructure. Few classes, but then with the spacing that is actually demanded by the government, it becomes in many cases not manageable. And like if I can give you a point in case, the school where I am, we were forced sometimes to handle learners from outside because we could not fit in the classes that were set for them. And much as we have that, it's not only risky for the learners, but even for us as teachers because learning from the outside there is not as healthy. So in terms of space, I want to say it's not, we still have a long way to go.
Okay. Let's hear from Teacher Faith, especially handling young children. How has it been to manage the spread and adhere to the government regulations?
Okay, in my case, my school has really tried those measures. We've been adhering to them, but as much as we've really been trying, we are not there 100% doing what is required because having many learners and also in one way or another, it's also hard to manage the small learners. At times when he or she sees someone having a black mask, another one is red, most of the time they try to exchange. Now it's also a risk, but we are trying our best.
That's wonderful. Let's hear from the learner, Grace Michelle. How do you see like your friends and others, are they really adhering to protocols in terms of having masks, keeping distance, and not really shaking hands and such? What would you say?
For me, the first day I went to school, it was quite annoying because when I just got into the class, one of my friends came running to me as if hugging. But when I told her there's COVID, she said like COVID is nothing, it's just a normal cold. And also they were not wearing any mask, they were not sanitizing. They wanted to share the sanitizers and they would share their pens and pencils. They would come together like 4 for 5 people sitting on one the small desk, chatting and laughing with their chubbies. So it was quite unusual.
Okay, let's hear from the high school student before we hear from the parent.
Okay, me what I can say it was quite difficult because most of the times we're not used to wear mask, we're not used to sanitize, and in high schools we are very young and we interact. So like when you get to school you find these measures, you must keep distance, you must wear a mask every time, every now and then you must sanitize. That becomes difficult to us because we're not used to. So that I can say.
Okay, let's hear from the parent in terms of, now they have said you have to sanitize, you have to wash your hands, you have to have a mask. What did you really do for your child or your children to adhere to this?
Watoto wakirudi nyumbani kutoka shule namwambia mjaribu kuvaa mask, msanitize, ndio msipate ugonjwa.
Okay, now as we just wind up our session, let's have one question about, I know there's so many teachers who lost their jobs. I know there are so many who could not even afford the masks and all that. Maybe the last word, what would you encourage your fellow teachers on and your fellow learners? Maybe we start with teacher Faith.
Okay, for me, I would like just to tell them it's not over until it's over. We have to keep on fighting. This disease might be here for a long time. It means you have to deal with it. But in one way or another, you can find yourself something to do and always be positive-minded. Everything is possible.
Okay, let's hear from Anthony Kinyeli.
Yeah, mine is to encourage every teacher, wherever you are, please know that COVID-19, and as my colleague has just said, it is not yet over. But as we've been through many other challenges before, and I do believe that even what you're going through with the efforts that we're going to join together, we're going to be able to defeat this pandemic. And I hope and I look forward to better times. Thank you.
Okay, maybe our parents, what would you advise other parents about this COVID-19?
Kama mzazi mimi naaje tu tupate vitu tunaambiwa na serikali, kuosha mkono, to sanitize, to keep distance, and to avoid many crowded.
Okay, let's hear from our high school student.
Okay, what I can tell the other people is that let's follow all the measures that the government has given us. Let's wash our hands, let's sanitize. Tuamini tu Mungu yuko, but let us keep fighting with this pandemic because I know we'll overcome it.
That's very good. So as Fun and Education Global Network, we are here to listen to learners, we are here to listen to teachers, we are here to work together with parents for a better education during this time of COVID pandemic. There's so many programs we are running during the holiday. There's so many programs we are running also connecting learners across the globe. We need Kenyan students to learn together with US students or Australia or Europe, just to have an experience or an encounter with other students. So we welcome you all to subscribe to our programs and check us out on our YouTube channel or on the channels that you can see below. Thank you so much and wish you a very wonderful time.